Hello, and thank you for watching this February 13th Ag Forecast, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. You know, some weeks just bring an endless and relentless stream of impactful weather. In last week's video, my focus was on the early week's severe weather threat, and the atmosphere did not fail to deliver. The map you've been looking at here shows the severe weather reports across the south, which included several EF2 and EF3 tornadoes. Well then, as those storms headed east, they lined out, as you can see here on this radar animation, and produced numerous severe weather wind reports across Florida and Georgia. And while that system was taking shape, forecast models honed in on a swath of snow for the Midwest, which for some, like those of us here at Agrible headquarters in Champaign, Illinois, was only the second time this winter we saw snowfall accumulate over 1 inch. And then later in the week, a massive blizzard hits the Northeast, dumping several inches of snow. This system was also very tough to forecast, as model runs just 2 days before it occurred had the center of the low too far off the coast to be impactful. But as the atmosphere so often does, this low shifted in position to be much closer to New England, and then the snow really began to pile up. Oh, and they got another round of heavy snow on Sunday in this same area. Well, this radar animation shows what was left of that system on Sunday night. Check out these really nice lake effect snow bands too. Oh, we're not done just yet. Saturday was a blowtorch across the central United States. Just look at this map from the Oklahoma Mesonet, which is a high-density weather station observation network in Oklahoma. The southwest stations almost topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And then, probably the biggest story of the week was in California. 50-plus days of relentless onshore flow in the jet stream has filled California's reservoirs after nearly 5 years of drought. This graphic shows how many of those reservoirs are at capacity, too. Well, just a reminder of how bad that drought was, this is Lake Oroville in California in 2014. Lake levels were drastically low. Well, if you haven't heard, this lake is in serious trouble now. Last week, the primary spillway was opened up, which is what we're watching here, which was done to relieve the lake, which is now over 100% full. The problem is that the primary spillway suffered some damage as the incredible pressure of this water raced down its concrete guides, filling the stream below and creating massive sinkholes. Well, then on Sunday, the secondary emergency spillway was topped, as we can see here, prompting the evacuation of those living nearby. Now, just as a clarification, the evacuation was ordered because the lake had topped the emergency spillway. The dam has not structurally failed, well, at least as of this recording on Sunday night. Oh, and by the way, there was one more thing too. It's been really windy, just about everywhere. Check out this footage of a semi being blown over by 90-mile-per-hour winds. Okay, with all of that as our backdrop, where are we going this week? Well, let's start with precipitation. We are watching a shortwave trough in the jet stream coming out of the southwest early this week, which will produce a low-pressure system that will track along the Gulf Coast Monday through midday Wednesday. Most of this precipitation is from that low, and there could be some stronger storms along the Texas-Louisiana coastline this week. But as you can see, most of the Corn Belt gets a drier week. But the Corn Belt should be glad to see Oklahoma and Arkansas getting rain, as these two states are the driest in the central U.S. As we've stated many times, preseason drought in the central United States could spread north if it influences the position of the jet stream this spring and summer. Again, it's just something to be watching closely as we get through February, March, and April. Well, what about the temperatures? Well, let's watch this animation to get the big picture idea rather than honing in on the specific temperatures at specific locations. There's a distinct break in the color scale for below freezing temperatures, which you can see right here. Now let's start this animation and assess the overall temperature trends. Through the start of this week, cooler air pushes in from the northern plains into the Great Lakes and heads toward the northeast. But look at the rebounding temperatures in the central U.S. by week's end. We have yet another ridge in the jet stream building in, allowing for southerly flow and above average temperatures. And adding to this, here is NOAA's temperature outlook map for next week. We can see how it is favoring above average temperatures into the third week of February too. After seeing this, I think I agree with the National Weather Service from Chicago, who stated on Saturday that they wondered if the groundhog meant just 6 more days of winter rather than 6 more weeks of winter. Okay, well, what about the longer-term outlook? Let's start here with a current map of global sea surface temperature anomalies, which are differences from normal. Do you see how the weak La Nina we had for most of winter is confined to the Central Pacific, While warmer than average sea surface temperatures are building along the west coast of South America, this is a sign of the coming El Niño event, which could arrive by midsummer. Long-range forecasts mostly agree that by June, July, and August, a moderate strength El Niño event could develop. Now the question is, does El Niño exhibit strong correlations with weather during the summer in the Corn Belt? Well, this is a question I get asked a lot, so let's address this at the end of our video here. On the left is the correlation between July temperatures and El Niño. Now, don't let the color shading lead you into reading too much into this figure. Across most of the Corn Belt, the correlation coefficient is either 0 or very slightly negative, which is cool. In terms of precipitation, the correlation coefficient is also near 0 or slightly positive. However, remember what a correlation coefficient means. The closer to 1 or -1, the stronger the correlation. Being near 0 means no correlation. So my point is that there will be several factors to watch for this growing season that will influence the weather besides this El Niño event. And most of them right now are pointing toward a warmer than average spring and summer. Well, with that, we'll wrap up our forecast. As always, we at Agrible will bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention. We hope you look forward to our next ag weather forecast. Thank you.